Hello everybody. So what did I say in my prior video? I said I wanted them to raise the outlook. That's what I was looking for. I was specifically talking about the 2030 outlook, but they did raise the 2026 outlook, and I will take it. I will not only take it because they raised the outlook for Q1 without eucalyptus. You gotta read the footnote. The outlook, the new updated 2026 outlook, excludes the eucalyptus acquisition, and you know that on this channel I've been thinking they're sandbagging. They don't include the eucalyptus. Eucalyptus, they got a great seller financing that's gonna make the company international. That's gonna add a lot to the HIMSS ARR, and they're still not including it in the guidance, but they're raising the guidance. So to me, this stock is all about the future. It's all about forward growth. I don't really care about past growth or prior growth. Yes, it's true that year over year in Q1 26 to Q1 25, they only grew 4%, but that's because we had it was a literal disaster, like a PR nightmare during Q1. You may remember that, right? So it was a complete disaster, and we also had a blockbuster Q1 2025 where compounding GLP-1s were going in full steam. So the fact that we grew 4% year over year, in my view, is very respectable, but I don't really care about the past. I look at the future. And the future, what are they guiding? They are guiding for revenue 2026 between $2.8 and $3 billion. $2.8 to $3 billion, and that excludes eucalyptus. It excludes eucalyptus, which is silly because eucalyptus is gonna come in the coming months, like probably the next month or two. It's going to close. So I'm adding, because eucalyptus is growing fast as well, I make the executive decision, I guess I took it in half, of assuming 225 million of ARR that needs to be added to the top line for 2026 for HIMSS, and I'm going to take the midpoint. They are guiding without eucalyptus for 2.8 to 3 billion revenue in 2026. So I'm taking 2.9 billion. So that's the midpoint, 2.9 billion, so their guidance without eucalyptus, plus 225 million for the second half for eucalyptus. I'm getting a guidance of 3.125 billion in revenue for the full year 2026. Now, since quarter over quarter was roughly flat, I have to assume that most of the guide that they have here is going to come in Q1, Q3, Q4 2026. Therefore, it makes sense to use that number and apply it to the 2026 growth. So I'm getting 32%, and for the sake of simplicity, that plus 32%. How am I getting 32%? Because trailing 12 month is 2.37 billion. And they are telling me over the next 3 quarters, including this quarter, they will be at 2.9, they're telling, but I'm adding eucalyptus, so that's 3.1 billion. So, of course, from 2.37 to 3.125, you're getting at plus 32% revenue growth. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm putting this in my spreadsheet as the next 12 months. And I've updated the numbers. The stock, of course, is down 10% right now. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but we're getting a very, very cheap EV over GP over 0.1 for the leading telehealth company in the United States, and perhaps soon the leading telehealth company in the world. The market doesn't really care about the future, right? That's probably why the stock is down. The market doesn't really care about the future. This is outstanding guide. They also reiterated the 2030 guide, so they are officially the king of Sandbag again. Like, how could you not update the 2030 guide when you know you're going to get eucalyptus? Anyways, that's conservative. And they're being conservative. They're probably right to do that because the market is not giving HIMSS any credit ever for anything that they do. So the stock is down about 10%. I guess when I took that screenshot, it was up slightly, but it's down 10%. You know what? It was probably going to be down no matter what. Like it was probably, like, short of some new announcement or something like that, it was probably going to be down. Traders will trade. They will be traders. I think the call will dictate everything as to the short-term direction of HIMSS. But here is the qualitative information that I will look forward to in the call. I want them to talk about the Lilly partnership, especially when it comes to the next generation GLP-1, a GLP-3 in retatrutide. I think retatrutide will be a hit. And I think a lot of people in America will want to use a legitimate source for retatrutide. If Hims sells retatrutide, even if it's like $600 a month, my guess is that you're going to have a bunch of people who are going to go to Hims for that. Another thing I expect on the call, please tell me more about AI, and I'll get to that in a second. Of course, in the shareholder letter, they are talking about Labs AI, the first AI care agent from Sims and Her. To me, I consider this to be a physical doctor. It's like a doctor for your physical that reads you your labs. I think it's amazing. I want to have them talk more about AI. Testosterone. They seem to be talking a lot about testosterone, especially in that letter to shareholders just now. I want to hear about testosterone. What market do they see? And then, of course, peptides. What peptides do you plan to offer first after they are, approved by the FDA? Which one do you plan to offer first? How's your facility going? Is the facility ready to manufacture? Will you be ready when peptides become officially fulfillable, or will you take your time and wait? And I hope they'll be ready, and I hope they'll be the first to launch something when it comes to peptide. Let's look at the letter. Of course, Andrew Durham here on X, just copying and tweeting the press release. There's four main points. First of all, the momentum is building. There's more ways for customers to start and stay with Hims. The momentum is especially here in weight loss, where weight loss is having near record adoption levels since March. The strategic shift, i.e. partnering with Lilly and Novo, is paying off. Then, they spend a lot of time talking about global and their global expansion effort. At one point, talking about their global efforts, global revenue growing 10x. I think it was customer count. I have it in the next slide. What is it? Anyways, it's something like they're showing. Yeah, that was customer count. They're showing a 10x. Very good. No, revenue. Our international business has grown to over 78 million in the first quarter, growing nearly 10 times year over year. 10 times year over year. And that doesn't include eucalyptus. And the revenue is going 10 times year over year international. So international is a big point. Then diagnostics, talking about diagnostic more than ever. Diagnostics are essential to sell what I call medium level treatments like testosterone treatment, where you got to track it, right? Diagnostics are the gateway to Hims offering more products to the people who need them and to detect people who potentially need those products. And then lastly, in that shareholder letter, I'm getting my AI. This is exactly what you're going to read. End-to-end customer service is constantly growing a closed-loop proprietary data flywheel. It's all about the data, the recommendations for custom AI drugs, for the recommendation for the better drug, for a better profile. That's a recommender system. Hims is going to have greater efficacy in prescribing you exactly what you need because they have 2.6 million people in their loop of data. And they can just feed that data to AI and to their MedMatch recommender system, and then you get better outcomes, right? This is exactly what Netflix does, Spotify does, Amazon does. Amazon knows exactly what you want to buy when you want to buy it because they have a recommender system. They're doing exactly this for patients and outcomes, for patients and drugs, adjusting that AI so that the prescription is just right and the prescription is suggested by an AI to the provider. And of course, the next step, is going to be, and there's some states like Utah moving towards that. The next step is going to be just the AI dealing with it. I think that's going to be also an avenue for growth when regulations change for Hims. 2.6 million subscribers feeding that AI, feeding that flywheel. The speed of innovation at Hims is super fast. Testosterone, menopause, they haven't talked to us much about menopause. That'd be nice to hear about menopause on the call. They haven't told us too much about that. I'd like to know how this is going. Clearly, Hims is going all in on testosterone. What about menopause? Let's focus on menopause too. That's a lot of sales. Talking about, of course, the FDA-approved weight loss. This is like a major win for Hims. They have both Lilly and Novo. Like they got everything. They got everything. It's they got the same, but what your doctor would have. This is a very big deal. And of course, they're growing internationally, like I said, talking about the total addressable market, absolutely insane. Western Europe, perhaps 200 million. They could target Japan. Japan's a big country, older country too, Japan. That's good for him. So perhaps 100 million. Australia, perhaps 20 million. We know North America is a big deal. They launched Canada. They launched HIMSS in Canada. Was it last week? Something like that. To me, this is going well, and the international revenue, again, is scaling at 10x. From a small base, of course, from a small base. But imagine you do another 10x. If you do another 10x, you get to 780 million. That becomes meaningful, doesn't it? So I'm very happy to see that. Labs. Focus on labs. So labs, of course, I mean, this HIMSS labs is a steal. It is very, very cheap. For all of the labs that you get for $349, your insurance can't beat that. Like, you literally can't beat that, because if you go to your insurance, you go see a doctor, you go to your physical, and you're like, okay, I want to get tested for like 1,000 things. The doctor will tell you, no, I can only test you for this, or that. Right? HIMSS is consistently testing for everything, because the lab's testing it's genius. It's both part of the flywheel. So you're collecting more data. You have an AI analyze this data, which eventually will be able to prescribe things. You'll be able to create a digital twin of yourself and predict your body like you would predict, I don't know, an economic forecast, but more precise, because we're dealing with a harder science here. So they're collecting all of this data. And in addition to that, not only do you feed the flywheel, not only do you feed the better prescriptions, the better data, the better learning, the better health outcomes, but you also feed the marketing engine. Because if in the labs, like I said, maybe a few years from now, someone maybe has like 3 years worth of labs. And you can see in the labs that consistently you've had a few metrics who've been going up or going down. And based on that, you may be all of a sudden eligible for something. And then you get an email, right? Maybe you get tested for your testosterone over the years. And maybe after 5 years, the AI detects a trend down. And then boom, you're under that threshold. And then they prescribe to you perhaps a testosterone RX if you're eligible, or perhaps a GLP-1 treatment if you're eligible. There's all sorts of stuff they could do. This is a very big deal. This is the top of the funnel. These labs, which they sell at cost, is the top of the funnel that helps them get more people subscribed to different HIMSS offers. AI Labs, meet AI Labs. They launched this was it 2 weeks ago? Something like that. They launched it. This is absolutely amazing. I actually think that they went faster than I thought on here. Like the first AI care agent from HIMSS and Hers. To me, we're just a step away from a full-fledged AI doctor in your pocket. And I think HIMSS will be one of the first companies to be able to offer that once the regulation allows it. And lastly, like I said, I've said this before, I won't spend too much time, but the guidance for 2030 has been reaffirmed. And to me, this is the same as a few years back. You may remember a few years back, the guidance started to look like a joke. To me, that 2030 guidance is beginning to look at like a joke, especially if they're growing at 32% right now. So at the end of the year, end of 2026, they'll be at 3.1 billion. Do we really believe that at the end of 2030, they'll be only at 6 when we're going at 30%? No, I think they'll be more than that. And so that's part of the reason why I own HIMSS. I think HIMSS is a king of sandbagging. And that's just what they are. And they're right, because they're not getting any respect. They're disrupting too much. HIMSS is disrupting too much. They're disrupting pharmacies, disrupting doctors, disrupting insurance. And of course, analysts who are the most traditional people, who are as traditional as they come, do not get it. So of course it's going to get no respect from the market, but eventually it will. And it already has, right? $30 is not that bad for HIMSS. It already has, but I prefer looking at my portfolio, and the stock was 60, obviously. But this is a roller coaster. If you like this stock, you must like a roller coaster. You must like extreme movements and extreme beta and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.